Pause, please. What's going on here in Inside Out 2? So as you may know, Inside Out 2 has been released all over the world, and it has been a categorical success. In all the ways, basically. In box office numbers, it has grossed over $1.3 billion. And growing, by the way. And it is being loved by everyone who goes to watch it to the theaters. This is mainly because it really brings something new that we have never seen before, not even in the first movie. Bringing something that we can all relate to, like the new emotions that we all face when we grow up. The first movie was amazing, but since she was a little kid, not all of us could relate to the fact that she was going through all of those emotions. But in Inside Out 2, things have changed, and she has new emotions that we all have, and we all have to learn how to deal with, as Riley does in the second movie. Overall, the movie as a whole is such a beautiful experience that everyone, in my opinion, has to go experience in theaters. Especially when you get to the ending, because there is an incredible surprise that in reality none of us expected, but we really needed to see, and it shows that Pixar is back in the game. But as with any animated movie, Inside Out 2 is no different in the fact that if you pause it, you're gonna see a lot of funny things happening in the movie. Little hidden details that you can only see and laugh at when you pause the scenes at certain points in the movie. The characters turn out to be completely different and doing things that none of us would expect to see in a movie like Inside Out 2. And that's what I'm gonna be showing you here today, guys. I'm gonna challenge you to see this Inside Out 2 pause scenes, and you have to try not to laugh. And I know it sounds really easy to do, but wait until you see the pause scenes and all the things you're gonna see in Inside Out 2 once you pause the movie. So once and for all, if you accept the challenge of trying not to laugh with one of these pause scenes, let's get right into it, guys. At the beginning of the movie, we see the emotions having a good time controlling Riley's emotions. Because as we've seen in the first movie, Joy has learned how to control herself and control the headquarters of Riley's mind. But this doesn't mean that they don't have conflict between the other emotions, because you have to understand that this is the beginning of the movie and the new emotions haven't come in yet, which are really gonna make a big difference. Even with the original emotions, conflict is still going on, and we see this right at the beginning of the movie when Joy is fighting over having the control of Riley's mind with disgust. Now, the incredibly funny thing is that if you pause this scene right here several times, you're gonna see the funny faces that the emotion of disgust puts right in front of the camera. Like, look at this right here. What is going on? But this is not it. If you actually continue to pause after this scene, you're gonna see that her cheeks completely... Alright, can't tell me this is not funny. This is incredibly funny. Come on. We can see that her face literally looks like an entire balloon that's gonna go to outer space in a second. You know, with the amount of oxygen that she's storing right in those cheeks, come on. I mean, disgust is usually a very boring character, but if you pause it, we can see that the character is definitely having a blast. For the next scene of Inside Out 2, we have to go to the moment when Riley acknowledges that for her to get into the hockey team, she has to start getting along with the popular girls. Because the popular girls are a lot better at hockey, and she knows that for her to get into the hockey team, she has to get with the girls that play the best for the manager of the team to see her better than if she sticks with her best friends that really don't know how to play that much in comparison to the popular girls. So right here we have the memorable scene of the lockers when all of the popular girls are having fun and talking to each other, when all of a sudden Riley walks right into them and they basically try to open conversation with her, but we know that Riley at the beginning of the movie is not that comfortable and she's really shy until she becomes a lot more comfortable at the end of the movie. But in the beginning, she was always shy, and we see that she is really uncomfortable speaking to them in the first place. And this is when anxiety acts for the first time and makes Riley anxious about things that don't make much sense and she shouldn't really be anxious about, because the popular girls were asking Riley if she wanted to get into the team with them, and anxiety went into full erratic and panic mode, saying that she had to get the popular girls in because they needed to get into the hockey team, while Joy was saying the opposite. She has to stick with her friends because she has to be loyal to them, and that's her personality and belief system. But we're not going to be talking about this right now. We're going to be focusing on a paused moment right here in this scene that is really going to make you laugh, guys. When Riley is talking to the popular girls, for some reason she does the same exact thing that Disgust did before, and she just fills up her cheeks with oxygen and she looks exactly like a grandma, but what she really looks like is a chipmunk full of peanuts inside her mouth. And immediately after this, we have another scene where Joy is playing the accordion, and She just looks like one of those ooze stones that you see on memes all over the internet. As you know, later into the movie, anxiety ends up taking control of Riley's mind and bottling up the other emotions, basically making it impossible for the original emotions to have any sort of control of Riley's mind. From now on, anxiety controls every step of Riley's life. Every single part of her decisions have to do with anxiety, ennui, envy, or embarrassment, the new emotions that are wreaking havoc in Riley's mind. But in the end, with the ingenious mind of Joy, they end up making it to the headquarters again, and they are able to stop anxiety right when she's having a panic attack and making Riley's life very unfortunate and hard for no reason. And Joy tells anxiety that it is not up to her on how Riley should live her life without having anxiety get into them all the time. Right after this, all the emotions make up, but in one of the best scenes of the movie, we see that Joy sees that the control board is orange and very different from the last time she saw it, and she's really hesitant to touch it again, but all the other emotions are encouraging her to go back and take control of Riley's life because she's the only one that can do it. But again, if we pause right in the exact moment in this scene, we see that Joy puts her hands on her head and makes a really funny face that goes exactly in tune with the meme face of Jackie Chan where he's confused and he's like, what's going on, right? If we put them apart, they're exactly the same, guys. Once anxiety sends Joy and all the other emotions to the vault and bottles them up, Joy comes up with a plan with Bluffy and Pouchy, two characters that have been in Riley's mind back then when she was a baby watching cartoons. Pouchy happens to have dynamite, which they use to blow up the vault and escape. And then Joy comes up with a plan to sneak into the headquarters, but she's gonna have to choose another emotion that is smart and doesn't get too much attention once she gets in. And Joy chooses sadness because she's basically the most quiet out of all of them, and if she gets in, she's not gonna cause a ruckus. Like, for example, anger. Can you imagine anger trying to sneak into the headquarters without anxiety trying to see him? That would be an impossible task, and that's why Joy chooses her to sneak into the headquarters, and that's exactly what she does. And in one of the scenes when Sadness gets into the headquarters and the pole that pulls the self-belief systems away is starting to move, we see that anxiety gets, of course, anxious. And when we pause right when she gets anxious and she jumps out of her seat, we see that she opens her mouth in such an incredibly funny way that really makes you look at it and be like, what's going on here right now? Anxiety, what's going on? It really looks like a completely different character with all small legs and big head and big tongue. She really looks like that one pink Pokemon that had the big tongue and stuff like that. Right at the end of the movie, we see that Riley's personality changes a lot. As she becomes to mingle more with the popular group, her best friend starts to see that she is beginning to change a lot. Because her personality right now is headed and driven by anxiety and not her original emotions that were there from the beginning and no Riley's self-belief system for real. She is driven by anxiety, ennui, and all of these bad emotions. And we see this in one of the scenes when the popular hockey group is talking to Riley and she's trying very hard to blend in with the group and ignoring her best friends right in the middle of the conversation when they were coming to speak to her. But in the scene when Riley is trying to talk all bougie, she keeps making these faces that if we pause them are really funny to watch. Like, look at this right now. Like, I can't with this right now. What's going on here, Riley? She really looks like she took the wrong amount of a crazy substance. I don't know. And then we have this one. She really just looks like that cat meme with the big mouth, or the meme guy in the concert opening his mouth. These pause scenes of Inside Out 2 are incredibly funny.